See Money. Shout out to see, you're smiling. So when you're smiling, I gotta be smiling. And you know what's interesting? Last July, you and I were here on XVlog Live, and I know it's July because thanks to Clue. Clue, by the way, is one heck of a community member. He put it out there. Now, we didn't specifically break the news because we were sworn to secrecy, but I think everyone knew exactly what we were talking about. And lo and behold, this morning, I'm at the gym and I go to Twitter and I look at my phone as I'm just taking a sip of water, and I see I got 17 DMs, and I'm like, oh shit, what has happened? Did I say something? What happened? And then I get a call from Everborn, and all I'm hearing is laughter. He's like, Boom, my brother, you have been vindicated. And I'm like, okay, what has happened? Well, what has happened, ladies and gentlemen, is Helldivers 2 has launched or is launching on Xbox Series X and S in August. You know what's interesting? You and I, my brother, were clipped. Those clips were shared around. People did videos. People did podcasts. And where are those cowards now? Probably on vacation. They took a little early leave because, tomorrow is the 4th of July. I figured, you know what? Let's get out early on this. How are you feeling, C Money, today after the vindication has come forth?
Well, I mean, obviously, like we heard from someone.
Yes,
so
we did.
that we got the info, and then we saw I don't know. I'm assuming you saw it too, but I saw the back end on Xbox.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Xbox had a back end site already ready for Helldivers 2.
Yes.
It was there.
Yep,
It
we
was
both
on
saw
their
that. As a matter
site.
of fact, we compared notes, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So we saw that. So we knew that something had to be cooking. It was there. Why would Xbox have Helldivers 2 on their actual website, the Xbox website, that now that page is actually live with Helldivers there. So they had that shit ready to go for a long time. And look, it's not like you and I claim to be some insiders or something like that. You know what I'm saying? We just got some information and we were pumped about it. We couldn't say anything, but we knew that it was happening. And then people, were so in their feelings about it that they wanted to kind of come at us and act like we were delusional and stuff. It's like, come on, man. First of all, why would I even care to make up something like that? You know what I'm saying? It's just something that it's just information.
Well,
that
you know what? We don't roll like that. Okay, so
Mhm.
our content is a bit different. Like I report the news, and you like to throw salt, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the one thing that we don't do, the one thing we have never done, is more specifically lie about something for clicks. We don't need to swim in those waters. Again, our content is similar but a bit different, and that is okay. But the one thing that I can say without a doubt is that we don't have to make shit up for you to tune into our programs. You know what you're going to get when you tune in, and lying is not a part of that. So when people, of course, ran with that C Money, it not that it hurt. I don't care what anyone says about me. I'm 54 years old. There is nothing anyone could say about me that's going to make me run or cry. But please continue, kind sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it was just funny. Because I mean, again, I'm, as you said, right, I'm in it for the tears, right? If they're going to see something like this, I knew they were gonna melt down. We knew it. We knew once this got announced, it would be crazy, right? That people would just be crying, and they are, right? Like, you got the certain people already saying that Hiroki Totoki is the Phil Spencer of PlayStation, right? They're all melted down already. It's glorious, but I will say that although I definitely have seen the crying, and it's like dramatic crying, like stupid crying, I also have seen a pretty significant amount of the actual gamers, like the actual people who play Helldivers, all extremely pumped.
Yeah.
like really pumped that this
I've
is
already gotten
happening.
invites to team up with people on PlayStation, like
Bro,
numerous.
people are really pumped. I don't know if it's cross. I haven't read into it too much. I don't know if it's like cross play and cross
Oh, it's
progression.
cross everything, dude.
Is it?
Yeah. You know what? Let me
Because
pull it
right
up.
now I think PC and PlayStation 5 are not cross progression. I don't know if it's
I will
cross
get the
play.
exact note.
But I mean, they are like these people are ready. Like they're not crying. They're just in it for the game. And that was refreshing to see, right? It's nice to kind of see the duality of the ponies crying and having breakdowns,
So
which
here
is
it is. I got the
glorious.
presser in front of me. This comes the way of all people. Sports Illustrated, ladies and gentlemen, is the one that the
Nice.
report that came up with me. It says yes, Helldivers 2 will have full cross-play support between Xbox Series XS, PlayStation 5, and PC. Well, there you go. Confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, all of the invites that I'm starting to get, and my DMs are starting to get loaded with them. Hey, Boom, do you want to team up? Absolutely. And you know why today is even more delicious? Now, obviously, I buy a lot of games and I have a specific credit card that I use to buy those games. And I always get a lot of points because I buy a lot of games, right? Well, if it's not the Nintendo Switch 2, it's something else, it's a game, it's that. So just the other day, Simon, this is tasty, ladies and gentlemen. Vindication tastes like filet mignon. I had enough points for a free $50 Xbox card, which came yesterday. And what did I buy with that? The $60 edition that cost me $10. And you know what? It actually didn't cost me $10 because I had the $10 from the points that I have automatically come out every July, every first of every month. So I literally got the game for free.
That's tasty.
Delicious.
That's tasty. But that's it's dope news that it's happening because again, I mean, like this industry that we're in is wild, and a game like Helldivers is not like something like that is not going to just survive closing off a segment of players, right? You gotta take every chance you have to have people playing your game. It's clear from the response from Xbox players that they're pumped to kind of get into that game. It never really interests me too much. Obviously I have a PC. I could have played it.
Well, I bought it on I bought the $60 edition on PlayStation, and I actually bought microtransactions. Like the game is phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, now it's on Xbox. I don't know. I'll see. It is what it is. The point is that it's cool that it's out or that it's coming out. It's cool that they are now having more players available, and also just another confirmation, right, to all the ponies and the people who swear that PlayStation's not bringing their games over, blah 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 blah. It's happening, and then of course they're going to say, well, this is a multiplayer game, or now they're going to say, well, it's not first party technically, it's a first party game but not a first party studio. That you'll see all the ways to make this for them to self-soothe, right, to make this feel better for them. But at the end of the day, we all can see what's happening in the industry. It's not the time to think that your subset of players are enough. Look at what happened to Death Stranding 2. Again, another game that is not a PlayStation, game. They help fund it, whatever. I guess they publish it, but Kojima owns it. It's more than likely going to be everywhere at some point or another. But again, look at how bad it's doing, right, on the PlayStation with the people who claim that this is what they love and they're so pumped for it. And this is another game that made them fall in love with gaming again. Yo, these are the most dramatic group of people I've ever seen in my life. Yo,
I've seen some of the things.
Crazy.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I kind of, before we get into more conversation about how Death Stranding doing on PlayStation 5, which, by the way, the game looks gorgeous. I can't wait to play it on Xbox because it is going to come to Xbox, and that's why I didn't buy it for PS5. I will buy it on Xbox gladly. But you know what's interesting, and this is where the TTS conversation comes in. You'll appreciate this. Does Helldivers 2 on Xbox being published by PlayStation Studios officially make them third-party publisher? I'm kind of wondering about that because some people are trying to defend this and say, well, you know, the studio really wanted. Folks, PlayStation is third-party. Welcome to the team. And if you think it's going to stop here,
bro.
Yeah.
Did you see Aaron Greenberg's tweet?
I know. I actually didn't. Let me go find it.
He said, welcome Arrowhead and Helldivers to Xbox. It's just funny. Just
wow. I love it.
It's just a funny way to write it, right? And you know kind of what he's doing, right? He's basically saying like, hey, you're here now, right? You're part of this. This is what you're doing. Look, at the end of the day, like the people who are stuck on the console war shit and they need it in their life to feel like, oh, PlayStation will never go third party because they have standards and they know the value of the console and blah 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 blah. And it's like, I understand that there's people who are stuck in the past with this console war shit. I get it. This is the way they want to do it. At the end of the day, look, it's better for every gamer if games are just available as much as possible. And it's better for the studios. Like, understand those same people who sat there, and that's why you can't take none of it seriously. The same people who sat there talking crap about the layoffs that took place, right? And how could Xbox do this and all this other nonsense, right? Are the same people who sit there and say, nah, these games shouldn't go everywhere else. Death Stranding 2 having 700,000 players or whatever the hell it is, selling less than the original one sold when it dropped, selling less than Astrobot sold, which Astrobot didn't sell much of crap, you know, to begin with. So, like, for it to be so low, you don't think Kojima, as a developer, as somebody who put all their energy into that game, would have just loved their game to be available on PC and on Xbox on the same day, and maybe got 2-3 million on the first shot instead of just the little that they got? Like, come on, man. It's always going to be like this baby bullshit. And I mean, this is why I love what Xbox is doing, right? They're getting out of the mud, right? We joke about it all the time on our show. PlayStation, Nintendo, they're still in the mud, right? They're still doing this console war shit, and they're still trying to, no, pick me. This is the only place you can buy my games. And Xbox is just like, nah, I'm good, fam. Nah, we'll take all y'all money. You know what I'm saying? We'll take all the money. Just keep it coming. And that's what it is. And it's not even just about Xbox themselves, but it's just it's the developers, right? It's the games. Like we have to, you know, kind of put things together, right? Perfect Dark, this other thing, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit, but like Perfect Dark looked amazing when we saw it, right? But let's be real, it's a trailer, right? It's something that was put together. It's a showpiece. It was choreographed to be a certain way, right? But at the end of the day, obviously the game wasn't where it needed to be, and the amount of time it was going to take to get it there was not it, right? Now, I don't know if that game, it's clear that game was probably going to just drop on Xbox for now and then eventually do the port. But then, you know, you start thinking about the numbers, start thinking about everything, and all this stuff kind of takes, you know, it's a factor, right? Like, they have to look at all these things and what's going to make sense. And, you know, these people with this one, you know, one console release, again, you've seen the struggle of the PlayStation games to be able to sell. I mean, there's a reason why they don't have, you know, third-party deals anymore from major publishers, right? Like that there's a reason why the Capcoms of the world stopped. There's a reason why um I'm blanking on the other ones, but Sega, shit. There's a reason why Sega stopped, right? Like there's a reason, right? The games are not selling the way that these developers and these publishers want them to sell. It just is what shit. Games are having enough struggle if they do launch everywhere, right? Because there is so much competition as far as time and stuff like that. And like honestly, it's it's refreshing to see that PlayStation is going to continue to release stuff over no matter what the ponies want you to believe. Um it's only smart business. And Hiroki Totoki from the beginning has been all about the business. They told you their games were going to be everywhere. And it just makes sense, right? It just makes sense that at some point it'll happen. Um, Xbox is moving faster than everybody else as always, but they're leading the way. And as we get through the the rough patch of the stuff that has been going on, we can get back to focusing and remember all the good that's coming and all the good that's been done. So I'm this Helldivers 2, it's cool that it's coming again. It's not necessarily something that I was like, oh my god, maybe I'll see, I don't know, at some point, but um like the fact that it's coming is good news. It's good for the industry, it's good for Arrowhead. We already know Arrowhead was also kind of done, not necessarily done, but
Well, I mean,
definitely
they walked away from PlayStation
they walked away
exclusivity,
from PlayStation. Yep, for their next game. So
right?
like,
So, I mean, look, I mean, all you got to do is go back to the head of the studio's tweet, and it was scathing for sure. It was a bit pointy. He specifically said something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, folks, so bear with me. When you 100% of pay fund your game, you make 100% of the decisions. And I'm sure that the decision to put Helldivers 2 is something that they wanted to happen sooner than later. Well, all the money they made, I'm being not being facetious, folks. I'm being honest. They made a lot of money on Helldivers, but most of that money, and I don't have a percentage in front of me, came the way of Steam. Did not come the way of PlayStation. PlayStation players bought it, like myself, who happily bought it and played it and very much enjoyed it. And enjoyed it so much, even bought some DLC for it. Right? So I double dipped. I have no problem. I said if it ever came to Xbox, and we knew that it was happening, we just didn't know when specifically. I'm a man of my word. I bought the game today, and again, like I said, a $60 game with all with the bonus stuff didn't wind up costing me anything because I got it for free, which is awesome, even better. But as exciting as this is, and as much vindication as we should feel, because again, people did come for us. You saw the videos, you saw the clips, you saw the people talking on social media. None of that means anything to me. Social media isn't real, folks. Social media is fake, and it's for cowards who would never say some of the things that they say to people in real life. That's just the way it is. And
or
that's
they'll
fine.
say it one time and then
under their breath,
they never
more than likely.
do that shit again.
Well, they wouldn't get a second chance, but that's fine. But exactly. You know what's interesting? Obviously, C-Money, this is the story of the day. And, what this ultimately does is close down a lot of narratives to, and to many of the points you were already making about Sony being this walled garden, right? Like this untouchable walled garden that has exclusives that are great. Listen, maybe a lot of people in this chat don't really care for the Spider-Mans of the world or some of the, God of Wars or even Horizon for that matter. And they have great IPs. Sony really does. No one is denying that. But when you see MLB The Show being forced onto Xbox, because that's ultimately what happened, right? Now you see this game, Helldivers 2, one of the biggest games of 2024, a big money maker for Sony, right? Now, obviously, PlayStation players like myself did buy it, sure, but the majority came the way of PC, and the PC numbers are still really good. Well, now you have, again, we don't know specifically, how many Xbox players are there? Are there 40 million? Are there more? I don't know. But just for shits and giggles, let's say that there are 40 million players. Are 40 million players going to buy this game? The answer is no. You're probably going to sell 2, 3, maybe even 5 million. But that's money that was left on the table by Sony. And folks, I just want you to know, should this game do well on Xbox, and I believe it is going to do extremely well on Xbox, this is one of those types of situations where the money people at Sony, i.e. Hiroki Totoki, and the board members, which if you didn't know, folks, Sony's publicly traded, and I'm sure that there were people on that board saying, you know, you got no first-party games coming out. You're paying for all of these third-party exclusive deals. Xbox is making a bunch of money on our platform, right? Yeah, we're getting 30%, sure. But if we put our games over there, 70% is greater than 30, at least by my mathematics. So, folks, I really think that, and again, you know, someone's going to clip this and say, "You're boom talking S again." It's fine. If Helldivers 2 success is rampant, and let's just say for shits and giggles, this is going to be the backbreaker. What if Helldivers 2 sells better on Xbox than it did on PlayStation 5?
That'd be wild.
I mean, is it possible? Sure.
I mean,
it happened with MOB. Right?
They're the people who have been waiting for this game are gonna have to show up for it now that they've been saying it. Like you said, if it ever comes, you would buy it. So
Yep.
you already did your part. You know,
Yes.
it's the people to see if were they full of shit? Were they saying they wanted this game but then weren't gonna get it? Or are they gonna show up for it? I mean, look, either way, like you said, like any sale they get is a sale they weren't gonna,
Yeah.
right? And now that it's open, you do now allow your game to get that hype moment where if somebody is playing or a friend is playing, they're like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Oh man, this Helldivers 2 I got on my PlayStation is awesome." And now if that person's an Xbox player, they can be, "Oh shit, okay, let me go get it." Right? We could play together. I'll go get the game. Right? So like it just now it stops that idea of, "Oh wait, but what platform is it on?" Right? It allows it to be a game that exists in a broader sense now. So with more availability, it just makes it better for them. And again, it's just going to help them with their next game that they're making, um, especially considering that their next game is going to be multi-plat. It's it's a good way for them to go ahead and drop. And it's funny because I guess they did an exchange, right? Like let's not get it twisted, right? We know what happened with Xbox, right? So
Right.
all the news was that we were going to get it Monday. And then it was like, okay, well, then it must be on the first day of their fiscal year, which was Tuesday. But then
Yeah.
we didn't get it till Wednesday. Why didn't we
Yep.
get it till Wednesday? Because today they knew obviously they knew that Thursday the news was going to drop. And just like that, and this is why, and I got to tell you, Boom, I feel vindicated in other ways because this is why it's all BS, right? Because so many people now are back on the hype train for what's happening with Xbox. Look at all the Twitter, right? Everybody's, oh wow, look what's happening. It's coming to Xbox, haha ponies, blah blah blah. And all the crying from yesterday is fading away, right? Because we all know why we're really here, and it's because of the games. The games are what we're here for. The
Indeed.
fact that we know what happens on the back end on these big companies when the reality is that you don't know what's happening on other big companies and you don't care what's happening to these other companies around the world all the time, right? Because you just are a consumer of the product. So as a consumer of the product, pretending that all this other stuff is the end of the world is wild because again, my point is proven. Look at the narrative today. Today, people are pumped again, right? Done. All they have to do is drop a new game, drop a dope trailer, drop something, and then the gamers will remember why they're here for, right? They're here to play games. Everything else is just the fluff, bro. It's just what it is, man.
It's true. So again, before we move on to what happened yesterday, because we have to cover it, right? It's still a part of
Oh,
the
for sure.
news, and you know
We
we're
still
gonna
didn't cover it yet. We'll talk about it
yeah,
tonight.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're not going to harp on it. You know, I do have bullet points thanks to Okami13 who set it up real nice. So I want to use what he had to say, read it verbatim, and just ask the question to the community. You know, I mean, obviously when things this big happen, trust is broken, right? And I get it. You know, a lot of people like, oh, I'm worried about this one because you know they said these games were doing well. You know, Phil Spencer was clipped on saying, "Oh no, they're in a good place." You know, Rare, and look what happened, right? So, you know, we'll get into that, you know, second half of the show after I read the super chats. But C Money, just real quick though, and again, this is not being scandalous. This is not being an a-hole about it. I do want to revert back to the original question. If this does well on Xbox, and I really believe it will it's going to do really well on the console. It's a multiplayer game. Multiplayer gamers play on Xbox. That is a fact. And I'm not saying they don't play on PlayStation, but the majority of multiplayer, when you say it, will tell you that Xbox or PC is the place to be, right? No one looks to PlayStation for multiplayer. People look to PlayStation for games like Ghost of Yotai, which is coming out later this year. And I think that's going to be a smash hit. There's no doubt about it. That game is going to be amazing. If you like the original Ghost, you're going to love this. So there's no doubt about that. But does the potential success of this game ring in more potential first-party releases on Xbox? I.e., and I'm going right back to it, folks. You know where I'm going? Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales. Because again, folks, yes, Insomniac made those games. Yes, they have the rights to the film. They don't own the rights to the video game. Now and I've said this before, folks, and I don't have the contracts in front of me, so I don't really know. I'm just speculating. But I'm sure a lot of the use of Spider-Man in the MCU has a lot to do with Spider-Man being locked down to PlayStation and now PC. Now, again, obviously, if it's still only on PlayStation, it's definitely unlikely that it would ever come to Xbox. But it's been on PC for a minute. And I'm sure that the money people, Hiroki Totoki, is looking at this and like, well, we're leaving money on the table. Insomniac knows how to work with Xbox. What if that happens? Is that the straw that broke the camel's back, or has the back been broken already with Helldivers 2, which we were told we were lunatics for thinking that Sony would put it on the console. They would block it, according to some.
This is the shit. Boom. This has already been decided many moons ago. We covered it so long ago when Hiroki Totoki and the guy who was above him at Sony at the time put out individual statements saying essentially the same thing. Their games will be ubiquitous. They will be everywhere you can compute. They want their games everywhere. Understand, they don't even have their next gen console mapped out yet because they don't know which way they're going to go 100%, because they see the tea leaves, right? They can see what's happening. They can see the fact that at the end of the day, the world is moving in this direction. Why would they limit themselves? Are they going to go ahead and take old games and port them over? Maybe, but just like Xbox is kind of being a bit finicky to what older games they go back and do, right? It's a lot easier
Right.
just to make new games that are already having it in mind and going back and porting it. So I'm not saying that it's not a possibility, but and to be clear, like I just said with Helldivers 2, right? The fact that it's coming here didn't perk me up like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go buy it, right? Like I don't care. I have a PlayStation, right? I could have bought it there a long time ago. I could have bought it on PC. I have Spider-Mans and God of Wars and all that crap. I don't care if these things come or they don't, but I think the industry is leaning towards the way where PlayStation is going to be foolish to just leave the money on the table when you know, it's funny because they talk about, um, you know, why would you buy an Xbox if you can buy a PlayStation and have availability of Xbox games, right? But that conversation now is obviously clearly going to be, why would you buy a PlayStation, right, if you can buy an Xbox and have access to Xbox games, PlayStation games, PC games, everything, right? Like at the end of the day, what's the difference for PlayStation if their game is going to be available via Steam on Xbox? Why not just bring an official port over as well to get the rest of the people who are not going to buy it on Steam, right? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, remember, it's funny because I was just about to say it and I glanced over. I see Understanding. He points out like Wukong, right? That's already coming over, right? All the Final Fantasies are coming over, right? Like it, it's already happening all around them, right? Why they're the ones who need it most? Why not go ahead and just do it, right? I just think it makes smart business sense for them. I think Hiroki and the squad already told everyone this was going to happen, right? This is the plan. This is what he came here to do, is
Yep.
to make them money, because they haven't been making money as far as the net profit, right? They just haven't. No matter how you cut it, it's, you know, their gross and their net are very different beasts, right? So like understand that that is going to be something to come, right? And
Yeah.
people will mock and laugh now, and then every game that slowly makes its way over, um will just have the same conversation, right? It's just going to slowly happen more and more and more. And I would say, you know, their new single player games are going to be, you know, coming over, but I don't know if they're making any more after these next few, right? Between Intergalactic and Ghost of Yote, seems like they just doubling and tripling down on this idea of, you know, the live service games, right? They got that Team LFG going. So,
Yeah.
you know, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, boom, if once they see success with this as well, it's just piling it on, right? You already know for sure they're in an office doing the same thing that Phil and everybody was doing last February when they were trying to figure out what they were going to do and how they were going to bring it over and what lessons they were going to learn and how far they're going to go into putting things over. 100%, like you hear from them that this is the way, right? It's just what's happening, man. You could see it. It's happening in front of you. These are facts. These are not hopes and dreams. Hellblade, I'm sorry, Hellblade. Well, Hellblade's going over there, but
Yeah.
Helldivers 2 is coming. First party, I know. Multiplayer, great. We'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, I think it's gonna happen. I think over time, I think they'll start coming in. I don't. Again, the only thing I don't know is if they'll go back. You know, I don't know how far back they'll go to bring things. Um, but who knows?